Shin splints are one of the most common conditions I hear about from veterans. Honestly, the first time I ever even heard about shin splints was in boot camp. I felt like everybody had them profiles, ice packs, sitting out in runs, everybody but me. And because they're so common, a lot of vets assume that shin splints are either not rateable or automatically going to be stuck at 0 or 10%. And that's simply just not true. In this video, I'm going to break down what I know about how the VA actually rates shin splints and the real difference between 20 and 30%, because that's big. I'm also going to talk about the type of treatment and evidence the VA looks for. So if this is something that you dealt with in service, let's make sure that you're not selling your claim short. Let's start by jumping into why or what shin splints are, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the evidence and the differences between the ratings. But before I go into that, please hit the subscribe button or the like button. It helps motivate me to keep making these videos, and it also pushes it out to more veterans to make sure that everyone knows what's going on. All right, so shin splints are essentially, it's pain and inflammation along the shin bone. It's common in vets. I mean, like I said, I didn't even know what this was, but I remember in training, constantly hearing about people that were dealing with it. Just from all the training and running and different other types of activities. So maybe you had it as well. It's something that I don't think I ever had to deal with, but definitely something common among vets. So it's very important that if you're putting in for this or you're already connected for this, that you know what diagnostic code it's rated under. It's 5262, and I think actually the condition is called medial tibial stress syndrome, so MTSS. That's something new that I learned when researching this. But the ratings are based on how long you had the symptoms, your different responses to treatment, the limitation, and then whether or not it's on both or unilateral, bilateral shins. So the rating criteria, it's a 0, 10, 20, and 30. And there's some unique differences here that I want to make sure that I highlight. Number one, 0% is going to be, something that it was less than 12 months, and the treatment that the doctor gave you, made it better, and there's no ongoing functional limitation. I would, if you don't go to the doctor enough and you're not like really paying attention to this and trying to treat this, you're probably going to get service connection 0%, and you'll keep that. But to move into the 10%, just to kind of get an idea of like how this thing could get higher for you, is you have symptoms that require treatment for no less than 12 consecutive months. So like you're dealing with this for 12 months or more, and it's unresponsive to shoe orthotics or other conservative treatment that the doctors give you to do this. And this can be for one leg or both legs, so it can be unilateral or bilateral. So the key thing here is that it's definitely over 12 months of treatment or symptoms that require treatment, and shoe orthotics or other conservative treatment just simply isn't working. Next is the rating criteria of 20%. This is going to require treatment for 12 consecutive months or more, so it's just like the 10%, but it's unresponsive to surgery and shoe orthotics or other conservative treatment. So, if you had surgery and you're still having those problems and you've tried those other conservative treatments, then you will have you could be at a 20%. But in this case, only one leg is going to be impacted. So that's how you get to 20%. Now, if you have all of the same other things, but it's in both legs, then you're looking at a 30% rating. And here's just something that I threw up there just so you can see all of them at once. But just keeping in mind, the only difference between 20 and 30% is whether or not it's one leg or two legs. All right, so what could treatment look like? Because that's something that they're going to want to see, that it was unresponsive to different types of conservative treatment. I'm not a doctor here, but just doing some research and just kind of looking at this from my own point of view. If the doctor tells you, hey, you can't run for 2 weeks, and they modify your lifestyle a little bit, the activity that you're used to, because they want to give your shins some time to heal, then that would be in my opinion some conservative treatment. Maybe they send you to physical therapy to help you manipulate through some of that and get better. Shoe inserts definitely could be considered conservative treatment. Those can get kind of expensive, but definitely something to consider. Pain management, obviously meds, could be considered treatment. And then of course, ice, rest, and compression, which is probably how most doctors would start in the, pain management plan would be right there. But those are all things that I think the VA would look at it as, a treatment plan or, conservative treatment. Some key factors before I jump into the rest of this. The length of time obviously is a key factor, right? Like you will need to show in your evidence that it was more than 12 months, because in order to get higher than a 0%, you need to show that it was more than 12 months that you were dealing with the treatment. And that's why this one can take quite a while to come up with all of your evidence prior to submitting, is because you do need to show more than 12 months to get above that 0%. You'll want to have medical evidence. If you have medical evidence showing improvement, that's not going to help you for, anything, those 20 and 30%. But if you have medical evidence that's showing that you're not improving, that would certainly help. And then, of course, you want to have evidence to show that it was either one or both legs. Now, proving service connection, obviously you're going to need to have that current diagnosis, and you're going to need to anchor this to something that happened in service. And this is one of those ones that when I was researching it, I thought back to my days in boot camp and how everybody had shin splints. So I really feel like if you had them and you still have them, this really should be an easy one to connect. I almost feel like it should be a presumptive, but it's not. And I say that from just all the activities that we did in the military: running, road marches, physical training, the complaints of shin splints. I feel like everybody, was on a profile early on, or at least a lot of people were. Maybe a personal statement or a buddy statement, someone that remembers, you slacking on a run or something during training. Your nexus obviously is going to be whatever evidence that you use to anchor this to that in-service event. And then of course, like you could always use a medical opinion to say that, the veteran complained about this, and the activities that the veteran explained to the doctor, were certainly activities that could contribute to, shin splints. And then just being able to show a continuity of symptoms, throughout, the entire time up to now, just to show that it was something caused by, your military service. Some evidence that might help you out is just anything in service, right? Any service treatment records noting shin pain. I like to draw back on my experience in boot camp where everybody had it. Everybody was getting on profiles or duty limitations. So if that was you, find that profile, and that would be excellent evidence in my opinion. Of course, any post-service medical records from either the VA or private that show that you continued to be treated for that condition. And then, of course, you want to have that other medical evidence that shows the treatment. So the physical therapy, the prescription for shoe inserts, pain management medication, because those are things that are going to be required for those higher ratings. A personal statement is great. I'll link a video to this talking about how I write personal statements, just the structure that I use. But essentially, you want to talk about like when the pain started, when you got it diagnosed, reference the profile, or whenever, reference whatever medical evidence that you have, especially if it was given to you while you're in service, how it continued after service, how it limits your daily activities, what types of treatment have you had. Those, I like to use the personal statement to paint the picture for the entire claim. So, do that, right? Like use that. So the good thing about shin splints, because they suck, right? That there are some secondary conditions that could lead to shin splints that the VA may recognize and give you a rating for if you can link it medically. Knee conditions, right? Like shin splints might cause you to walk differently, so it could lead to knee conditions. It could ankle conditions, even foot pain or plantar fasciitis. It could even cause hip and lower back pain, among other things. Now, of course, with any secondary condition, these are considered a little bit more complicated. So you want to make sure that you're talking to your doctor. Sometimes in these cases, you may want to even consider talking to a medical professional who specializes in VA claims. Remember, they do charge, so make sure you're doing your due diligence with those. But these are all ways that you can, you can use evidence to allow the VA to get a better picture of your overall, VA disability limitations, which may require other conditions to be linked. And that's pretty much it on shin splints. If you enjoy video like this and these are helpful for you, please hit the subscribe button. Please throw a comment down below. I'll do my best to answer them.